In early American history, the Bible was often used as a primary textbook in schools, not only for religious instruction but also for teaching reading, writing, and moral values. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, the Bible's presence in public education was largely uncontroversial. However, as the United States became more diverse and secular, the role of religious texts in public schools began to be questioned. The landmark Supreme Court case, Engle v. Vitale, 1962, which ruled that mandatory prayer in public schools was unconstitutional, marked a significant shift in the relationship between religion and public education. This ruling paved the way for further debates about the place of religious texts in schools. The 21st century has seen a significant increase in the number of book challenges and bans in schools across the United States. Parents, educators, and advocacy groups have increasingly scrutinized the content of books available to students, leading to debates about what is appropriate for young readers. These challenges often focus on themes such as sexuality, race, violence, and religion. In recent years, books like To Kill a Mockingbird, The Catcher in the Rye, and even modern young adult novels have faced bans or challenges due to their content. This climate of increased scrutiny over educational materials set the stage for the unexpected and controversial decision to ban the Bible in Utah schools. The Bible ban in Utah was not an isolated decision but rather the culmination of a series of events and legal battles. In the years leading up to the ban, Utah, like many other states, saw a growing number of challenges to books in school libraries. These challenges were often driven by concerns from parents and religious groups about what they perceived as inappropriate content for children. In 2022, Utah passed a law that allowed parents to request the removal of books from school libraries if they contained material deemed inappropriate for children. This law was initially aimed at books containing explicit sexual content, violence, or other themes considered unsuitable for young audiences. However, the law was broad enough to allow challenges to any book, including religious texts. The Bible became the target of one such challenge. A parent, frustrated by the removal of other books, argued that the Bible itself contains content that is violent, sexually explicit, and morally complex, similar to the content found in the books that had been banned. The parent's argument was that if other books were being removed for these reasons, the Bible should be held to the same standard. In early 2024, a school district in Utah agreed with this argument and decided to remove the Bible from its school libraries. This decision was based on the law passed in 2022, which allowed for the removal of books containing inappropriate content. The district's decision ignited a firestorm of controversy, both within Utah and across the nation. To understand why the Bible was banned, it's necessary to look at the specific content that led to the challenge. The Bible, like many ancient texts, contains a wide range of stories, some of which include violence, sexual content, and morally complex situations. Stories such as David and Bathsheba, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, and the wars and conquest in the Old Testament are often cited as examples of content that might be considered inappropriate for children. The decision to ban the Bible in Utah school libraries quickly became a national issue, drawing reactions from all sides. Religious groups, particularly Christian organizations, were outraged by the decision, seeing it as an attack on religious freedom and a sign of growing secularism in society. They argued that the Bible's removal was an overreach and that it represented a double standard, where religious texts were being treated more harshly than other books. On the other hand, some secular and progressive groups supported the decision, seeing it as a fair application of the law. They argued that if other books were being banned for explicit content, the Bible should not receive special treatment simply because it is a religious text. These groups saw the decision as a step toward ensuring that school libraries are free from materials that could be considered inappropriate for children. Politicians also weighed in on the issue, with many conservatives condemning the ban as an example of government overreach and an attack on traditional values. Some lawmakers proposed new legislation to protect religious texts from being banned in public schools, arguing that the Bible holds a unique place in American culture and history. As the controversy grew, legal challenges were inevitable. Several lawsuits were filed both for and against the Bible ban, with different groups seeking to either overturn or uphold the school district's decision. These legal battles brought the issue of religious texts in public schools to the forefront of the national conversation. The courts were divided on the issue. Some rulings upheld the school district's decision, citing the law that allowed for the removal of books with inappropriate content. Other rulings sided with those challenging the ban, arguing that the Bible's removal was unconstitutional. These conflicting rulings created a patchwork of policies across the state and even led to calls for the Supreme Court to weigh in on the issue. The decision to ban the Bible in Utah school libraries triggered a wide range of responses from the public. Grassroots movements quickly formed both in support of and against the ban, with each side mobilizing to influence public opinion and policy. Supporters of the Bible ban, who often came from more secular or progressive backgrounds, argued that the move was a necessary step toward creating a more inclusive and neutral educational environment. They pointed out that if other books containing violence, sexual content, and morally complex situations were being removed from school libraries, it was only fair to apply the same standard to the Bible. These supporters also emphasized the importance of keeping religious texts out of public schools to maintain a clear separation between church and state. Rallies, petitions, and social media campaigns emerged, advocating for the consistent application of censorship standards across all texts, regardless of their religious significance. Some parents who had previously seen their complaints about other books being dismissed found a new platform in this movement, arguing that the Bible's content should be scrutinized in the same way. On the other side, opponents of the ban saw it as an affront to religious freedom and a dangerous step toward secularism. Many religious groups, including local churches and national Christian organizations, rallied against the decision, viewing it as an attack on the moral and cultural foundations of society. They argued that the Bible is more than just a book, it's a sacred text with deep historical and cultural significance, and its removal from school libraries was seen as an erasure of these values. These groups organized prayer vigils, protests, and letter-writing campaigns to school boards and legislators, demanding that the Bible be reinstated in school libraries. Some religious leaders called for civil disobedience, encouraging students and parents to bring their own Bibles to school in defiance of the ban. The clash between these two movements underscored the deep divisions in American society over issues of religion, education, and censorship. The public's response to the Bible ban in Utah became a microcosm of larger cultural and ideological battles playing out across the country. The media also played a crucial role in shaping the narrative around the Bible ban in Utah. News outlets across the political spectrum covered the story extensively, with some framing the ban as a necessary step toward protecting children from inappropriate content, while others portrayed it as an outrageous attack on religious freedom. Mainstream media outlets often presented both sides of the debate, interviewing parents, educators, religious leaders, and legal experts. However, the coverage was not without bias. Some outlets emphasized the argument of those who supported the ban, highlighting the violent and sexually explicit content in the Bible as justification for its removal. Others focused on the concerns of religious groups, framing the ban as part of a broader trend of secularization in public schools. On social media, the debate was even more polarized. Hashtags like #BibleBan and #SaveTheBible trended on platforms like Twitter and Facebook, with users sharing articles, opinions, and memes that reflected their views. Social media also became a battleground for misinformation, with false claims and exaggerated stories circulating widely. The virality of these posts further inflamed passions on both sides, making it difficult to have a nuanced discussion about the issue. Religious media outlets, particularly those catering to Christian audiences, were vocal in their opposition to the ban. These outlets often featured commentary from pastors, theologians, and conservative politicians who argued that the ban was a symptom of a broader cultural decline. Some religious media even launched campaigns to raise awareness and funds to fight the ban, encouraging their audiences to take action.